Good evening. I'd like to call the regular monthly meeting to order. Would everyone please rise for the prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance?
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the many ways in which you continue to bless our school district. We are grateful for our dedicated employees who have embraced the new school year with enthusiasm and eagerness. We continue to be thankful for the support our school district enjoys from our parents and this community. And with your support, Father, we realize that the possibilities we have in meeting the needs of our children are endless. Be with us as we make decisions this evening that impact our school system and forever make us mindful of our overarching obligation to the children of St. Bernard. These things we ask in your name. Amen.
Amen. Ms. Lemoyne, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
Yes. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please, Ms. Bocek.
Mrs. Aceveda is not with us. Mr. Campbell.
Here.
Dr. Kraft.
Here.
Mr. Egan. Here. Mr. Gaines.
Here.
Mr. England.
Here.
Mrs. Dysart.
Here.
Mrs. Lemoyne.
Here.
Dr. Lewis.
Here.
Mr. Long.
Here.
Mr. Warner.
Here.
Thank you, Ms. Bocek. I'd like to take a point of privilege at this time on behalf of all the board members and the superintendent. We would like to wish Mr. Joe Long a very happy birthday.
Oh,
Happy birthday,
okay.
Joe.
Thank you, thank you. Appreciate it.
And many more.
Hopefully. Hopefully.
Oh, and Dr. Lewis had a birthday this month too. Happy birthday to you, Dr. Lewis. And many more to you also. Always good to have a birthday. That's right. That's right. Okay. Anyone else? All righty. Okay, first item on the agenda are community concerns. Ms. Benazat? No one? Okay. So we'll move to the next item. Motion to incorporate the report of the general committee meeting into the minutes of the August regular monthly meeting.
So move.
There's a motion by Dr. Lewis, seconded by Mr. Warner. Any discussion? There being none, please cast your votes.
Motion passes 10-0.
Thank you. Next item are the personnel changes for August 2017.
Okay, what you see before you, Mr. Cranberry's been very busy. The ones marked in yellow are the changes from the committee meeting to the present.
See, we have 3 retirees, teachers retiring: Janice Becker, Claire Aceveda, and Michelle Morales. We just want to thank them for their hard work with the St. Bernard Parish school system, and we would wish each and every one of you a very happy retirement. Okay. Anyone else? Seems like those retirees keep adding on, huh?
I know.
Lately.
Well, like we said, it's good to reach those birthdays.
That's right. Okay. Are there any questions on personnel changes at this time? Mr. Long?
Ms. Bocek, we should be fully staffed by this time. but-
Yes, we are,
Okay.
as of today.
As of today, okay.
Good.
And when do we get the official enrollment numbers? Is it after Labor Day?
Well, the actual official enrollment is October 1.
October
We
1.
keep taking head counts as we go along. And right now, of course, we're reconciling actual head counts with registered, students who have registered. So some of our students have not come back, so we're looking to see why and those kinds of things. So those reconciliations are taking place.
Okay, good.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Just a comment. I see a couple temporary assignments as teachers or some of our former students. So it's always great that our students come back to us as teachers.
Absolutely.
Okay. No further discussion? We'll move on to next item. Item 7, motion to consider and take action with respect to adopting a resolution ordering and calling a special election to be held in School District 1 of the Parish of St. Bernard, Louisiana, to authorize the continuation of special taxes therein, making application to the State Bond Commission in connection therewith, and providing for other matters in connection therewith. There was no recommendation by the committee, and I guess we need to read these into the minutes of the meeting. Dr. Kraft, did you have
No,
discussion?
I'll have a question as you read them in.
Okay.
Need a resolution first, or a motion?
You-
Okay.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. England, seconded by Dr. Kraft. Any discussion before we read the resolution?
Read that and then we can have the discussion before we vote.
Okay. Okay. The resolution reads as such: a resolution ordering and calling a special election to be held in School District Number 1 of the Parish of St. Bernard, State of Louisiana, to authorize the continuation of special taxes therein, making application to the State Bond Commission in connection therewith, and providing for other matters in connection therewith. Be it resolved by the Parish School Board of the Parish of St. Bernard, State of Louisiana, which is the governing authority, acting as the governing authority of School District Number 1 of the Parish of St. Bernard, State of Louisiana, that Section 1, election call, subject to the approval of the State Bond Commission and under the authority conferred by Article 6, Sections 30 and 32, and Article 8, Section 13C of the Constitution of the State of Louisiana of 1974, the applicable provisions of Chapter 5 and Chapter 6A of the Louisiana Election Code and other constitutional and statutory authority. A special election is hereby called and ordered to be held in the district on Saturday, November 18th, between the hours of 7 o'clock a.m. and 8 o'clock p.m., in accordance with the provisions of Louisiana Revised Statutes 18-541, and at the said election there shall be submitted to all registered voters qualified and entitled to vote at the said election under the Constitution and the laws of this state and the Constitution of the United States, and the following propositions to wit. Proposition number 1, millage continuation. Shall School District Number 1 of Parish of St. Bernard, State of Louisiana, the district, levy a special tax of 19 and 39/100 mills on all property subject to taxation in the district, an estimated $6,088,000 reasonably expected at this time to be collected from the levy of the tax for an entire year, for a period of 10 years, beginning with the year 2019 and ending with the year 2028, for the purpose of giving additional support to the operation and maintenance of public elementary and secondary schools in St. Bernard Parish, including without limitation paying salaries and benefits of teachers and other school board employees, said millage to represent a 39/100 of a mill, .39 increase due to reappraisals over the 19 mills tax authorized to be levied through the year 2018, pursuant to an election held on April 4th, 2017, and that's a typo.
2009, no. That's when it was
Oh,
originally
2009, okay. They had a question mark there, all right. The original. Proposition number 2, millage continuation. Shall School District Number 1 of St. Bernard Parish, State of Louisiana, levy a special tax of 3 6/100 mills on all property subject to taxation in the district, an estimated $960,825 reasonably expected at this time to be collected from the levy of the tax for an entire year for a period of 10 years, beginning with the year 2019 and ending with the year 2028, for the purpose of acquiring school buses and instructional materials, and for the additional purpose of maintaining and operating school buildings and facilities, said millage to represent a hundredths of a mil increase due to reappraisal over the 3 mills tax authorized to be levied through the year 2018 pursuant to an election held on April 4, 2009. Proposition number 3, millage continuation. Shall School District Number 1 of the Parish of St. Bernard, State of Louisiana, levy a special tax of 9 44/100ths on all property subject to taxation in the district, an estimated $2,964,100, reasonably expected at this time to be collected from the levy of the tax for an entire year, for a period of 10 years, beginning with the year 2019 and ending with the year 2028, for the purpose of paying salaries of school employees and giving additional support to public elementary and secondary schools and facilities in the district, said millage to represent a 19/100ths of a mil or .19 increase due to reappraisal over the 9.25 mils tax authorized to be levied throughout the year through the year 2018 pursuant to an election held on April 4th, 2009. Okay, and section 2 is the publication of notice. A notice of special election shall be published in the St. Bernard Voice, a newspaper of general circulation within the district, published in Chalmette, Louisiana, and be in the official journal of the district once a week for 4 consecutive weeks, with the first publication to be made not less than 45 days, nor more than 90 days prior to the date of the election, which notice shall be substantially in the form attached hereto as Exhibit A and incorporated herein by reference, the same if it were set forth herein in full. Notwithstanding the foregoing, prior to the publication of the notice of election, the President is authorized and directed to make any amendments to the foregoing propositions that may be required to comply with any state or federal regulatory agencies. Section 3, canvass. This governing authority shall meet at its regular meeting place, the School Board Office, 200 East St. Bernard Highway, Chalmette, Louisiana, on Tuesday, December 19th, 2017, at 6 o'clock p.m., and shall then and therein open in public session proceed to examine and canvass the returns and declare the results of the said special election. Section 4, polling places. The polling places for the precincts set forth in the aforementioned notice of special election are hereby designated as the polling places in which to hold the said election, and the commissioners in charge and commissioners respectively will be the same persons as those designated in accordance with law. Section 5, election commissioners, voting machines. The officers designated to serve as commissioners in charge and commissioners pursuant to Section 4 hereof of such substitutes, therefore, as may be selected and designated in accordance with Louisiana Revised Statute 18-1287, shall hold the special election as herein provided, and shall make due returns of said election for the meeting of the governing authority to be held on Tuesday, December 19th, 2017, as provided in Section 3 hereof. All registered voters in the district will be entitled to vote at the special election, and voting machines shall be used. Section 6, authorization of officers. The Secretary of the Governing Authority is hereby empowered, authorized, and directed to arrange for and to furnish to said election officers an ample time for the holding of said election, the necessary equipment, forms, and other paraphernalia essential to the proper holding of said election, and the President and or Secretary of the Governing Authority are further authorized, empowered, and directed to take any and all further action required by state and or federal law to arrange for the election. Section 7, furnishing election call to elect election officials. Certified copies of this resolution shall be forwarded to the Secretary of State, the Clerk of Court, and ex officio Parish Custodian of Voting Machines of St. Bernard Parish and the Registrar of Voters of St. Bernard Parish as notification of the special election, in order that each may prepare for said election and perform their respective functions as required by law. Section 8, application to the State Bond Commission. Application is made to the State Bond Commission for consent and authority to hold the special election as herein provided, and in the event said election carries, for further consent and authority to continue to levy and collect the special taxes provided for therein. A certified copy of this resolution shall be forwarded to the State Bond Commission on behalf of this governing authority, together with a letter requesting the prompt consideration and approval of this application. And this resolution having been submitted to a vote, the vote will be as follows, and I have all board members listed. After we take the vote, we will mark those votes, and the resolution was declared adopted on this, the 22nd day of August 2017. Okay. There is a motion on the floor and a second to adopt this resolution. And as read, there are 3 propositions that have already been read in the minutes. And this is just something that the secretary will have to sign if we vote upon the resolution. Okay? So we don't need to read that
It's
into the
just
minutes.
discussion.
Okay, discussion. Dr. Kraft.
Yes. I understand from the prof there that this will bring in Ms. Oche about $10 million.
Yes.
And of course, this is not anything new. We've been living on that for the last 10 years. So we're asking the voters to approve this bond, a renewal of a bond issue where we'll have adequate funds. What it would do, I understand that $10 million based on our budget would be about 14.5% cut. And of course, with that kind of cut, that would negatively affect the classroom learning environment. So we definitely do not want to do that. We could not cut enough to really not affect the classroom and the teaching core that we have at present. So we encourage them to vote for this, and I think this, what we've seen in St. Menard, our administration and school boards have been good stewards of the monies. No money was for all the new schools we had. We did not have to send out a millage increase to pay for those schools, so we're in good shape that we're not having to pay for school buildings now. So we just need these operational funds to fund our general budget. So we encourage a positive outcome for the election for everyone in St. Menard, and that's all I got to say about that.
Anyone else? I guess we can't stress enough that this is a renewal. It's not a new
Absolutely.
millage. It's a renewal, and
Something
without
we've been
these
li-
funds,
Something we've been living on.
yeah, something we've been living on, and it was stated in the proposition, all the items, the upkeep of our buildings, which I know I'm sure many of you, others of you, have been asking the community, well, how are y'all going to maintain those buildings? Well, that was part of this millage that we'll need for the upcoming years to continue, so that we can keep our buildings nice and new and maintain them and the integrity of them, and also for school buses as we go along, to replace those school buses that are getting older in our fleet, and of course for our personnel, which is a very important part of our entire budget. I think our personnel the percentage of the total budget is over 82%. 82% of our entire
Well
budget.
over that.
Well
Salaries
over that.
and benefits, right.
With benefits, salaries and benefits, and continues to increase because of the unfunded liability on insurance and insurance premiums going up and all that. So we're just asking the voters to renew these millages so that we can maintain the beautiful, wonderful school system that we presently have. And again, it's just a renewal, and so we ask the voters to remain our good partners in public education. Thank you. Mr. Gaines.
And I think, I totally agree, Ms. Dysart. Our community are in partnership with our schools, and as a former teacher, I'm looking at this. This would, if they not approve this, it would negatively impact my salary. And then I'll be looking elsewhere for because salaries, like I said, 82%. So and cost of living keeps going up, and we need to stay competitive. And with this cut, if this is a cut, we're not going to be competitive. So it's the public needs to be aware of that we need to keep our quality teachers in our classrooms.
Mr. England?
Yeah, Mr. Dinosaur, thank you, and I agree with all the former speakers that spoke on this already, but everybody's got to remember, this is a business. It's not only just education, this is a business. And you got an operation cost, you got employment, all the factors has got to work together. And to maintain the type of school system that we have here today, we must have this, and we hope and pray that the voters will grant us this wish of voting for this positive in November. Thank you.
Okay. Dr. Kraft?
Yes, and we might remind the public of this. What we've seen in the olden days when I was coming up teaching, you'd have the state, about 60 to 70%, they funded local school districts. But now we're approaching 50% that we have to carry the load. That means that the state's not stepping up to the plate, which really has been their responsibility that was passed on by the U.S. Constitution. Public schools would be a responsibility of the state. But we cannot drop the needs there because the state does not fulfill their mission. So we've done this, and I think we've been good stewards. As we say, 41 meals is all the general operations that we are expecting from the general public, and this is 10 of those 41 that needs to go forward. And we can't stress that enough, as you implied. All the things that's involved as far as transportation, teaching, and the upkeep of the facilities. Routine maintenance as we go forward is going to be extremely important for our school buildings, and we've got to be good stewards for this and make sure we keep these up, because we're so fortunate to have the school buildings that we have in place at this time, and without any millage increase from the general public of St. Bernard Parish. That's all this time. Maybe next.
Okay. Ms. Voce?
Really, I would just be repeating what others have said. Obviously, these are our three major operational millages, no new taxes whatsoever. These have been on the books for decades, and each 10 years they need to be renewed for operational purposes. And the bulk of this money goes to the salaries and benefits for all the employees, primarily our teachers and, of course, all of our support employees as well. And as Dr. Kraft just pointed out, it used to be, statewide with the state funding and versus local, it's a 65-35% split with state money to 35% local money. However, in St. Bernard, it varies school district by school district depending upon your relative wealth, and we're getting closer to 50-50 at that point. So the state is expecting local communities to carry more of the burden, and we've been able to continue the operation of our school system at a very high level without increasing any of the taxes. So we've been able to continue just at our present funding levels, and we have no intention at this point of asking for anything additional. So all we're asking at this point is that the public renew our existing millages, which primarily pay for the salaries and benefits for our employees.
Thank you, Ms. Voce. Anyone else? Okay, there being no...
Yes.
Roll call vote. Okay, if there's no further discussion, roll call vote, please, Ms. Voce.
Mrs. Dysart.
4.
Mr. Campbell.
Yay.
Mr. Egan.
4.
Mr. Gaines.
Yay.
Mr. England.
4.
Mrs. Lemoyne.
4.
Dr. Lewis.
4.
Mr. Long.
4.
Mr. Warner.
4.
And Dr. Kraft.
4.
Motion passes 10-0.
Thank you, Mr. Foche. And so we'll do the proper advertising, et cetera, as called for in the resolution.
Right, we'll be doing the advertisement 4 times in the official journal, securing permission from the State Bond Commission, and taking the appropriate time prior to the election date in November.
Thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda is the motion to approve the Louisiana Compliance Questionnaire. There was a recommendation by the committee.
So moved.
There's a motion by Mr. Warner. Is there a second? Seconded by Ms. Lemoyne. Any discussion? There being none, please cast your votes.
Motion passes 10-0.
Okay, thank you. Next item, or items to be placed on the agenda of the next committee meeting. Anyone? Of course, you have before the next committee meeting to add any items to the agenda. Okay, next item are superintendent's recommendations.
Just again to reiterate, we've had a very smooth opening of our school year. Things are going extremely well at all of our schools, especially our new opening at Arlene Merrill Elementary. It's a very exciting time, and that faculty, staff, and administrative group are really, really excited and are doing an excellent job. Next Tuesday, August 29th, just want to remind everybody that it will be our 12th annual Day of Reflection breakfast. We should have between 400 and 500 community members attend. Anyone interested in the tickets, they just have to call here at the school board office at 301-2000 and ask for Shelby, and we'll be happy to take care of you for that attendance. It's usually a very great community event where we see not only our educators but business partners and elected officials and just wonderful community members gathered together for a celebration. So we're looking forward to that Day of Reflection breakfast.
Thank you, Ms. Foche. Mr. Gaines?
Just one privilege here. How's our parish schools dealing with the flooding situation? I know the parish is not flooding, like Orleans and Jefferson. And there's a weather event coming up. It's in the papers this afternoon, and Bob Breck tells us that we have to watch out. So, when Gramps Breck comes out to the public, you need to listen. So I'm just wondering, are we okay as far as the schools are concerned with
We're fine. We have all the necessary precautions, and we hopefully that things will go extremely well in the community, and so goes the community, so goes our schools.
All the pumps are working.
I'm not in charge of the pumps, Dr. Kraft, but I would hope so. I would hope so.
That's a loaded question. Okay, can we get an enrollment update, Ms. Foche, at the next committee meeting?
Sure.
Okay, great. Anyone else? Mr. Campbell?
Yeah, I'd like to offer congratulations to Dr. Henderson on his renewal of his contract as superintendent of Orleans Parish.
Very well deserved.
Yes,
He's done an
thank you
excellent
very much. And at the last board meeting, the school board did approve a new contract for me that extends to June 30th of 2021. So very grateful for the opportunity as we continue to redefine public education in New Orleans for the betterment of the students and the families of Orleans Parish.
Congratulations. There's a motion by Mr. Campbell, seconded by Dr. Kraft. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Aye. The meeting is now adjourned. Thank you and good night.